What is up, everybody? My name is Nate, and I am so excited to welcome you all back to another episode of the Chokehold Hour. As we do every week, we're going to be going over the most recent UFC card, but this week we have just a little something different, and actually we have a couple things that are a little different. One, I was at UFC 288 in person. I had the privilege, the honor of witnessing some of the greatest warriors on this planet of Earth go to war, go to combat, exhaust all their energy, options, and opportunities in that fight, exhaust their entire game plan and strategy. I got to see the highest level of mixed martial arts in person, and I really will tell you, it gives you a different perspective. It is a different experience watching a fight in person, seeing the fighters leave their souls in the octagon, give a piece of their life to that fight. I tell you, in person, it's much easier to read the emotions of the fighters. It's much easier to see how they're feeling because you're actually there. You can see their facial expressions change up close. It's a very personal feeling. It's a very intimate feeling. You feel connected to the fighters, and it was really an incredible experience. So yeah, witnessing UFC 288 in person was awesome. It was absolutely awesome. I want to thank the UFC for making an incredible event and hosting it in the Northeast so I could get to it. So yeah, that was an awesome experience. I got to meet Dana. I got to meet Bruce. I got to meet Uriah Faber, Frankie Edgar, Chris Weidman, Aaron Blanchfield. Guys, I tell you, the names go on and on. I promise you, I met everybody. It was unreal. I was starstruck. It was amazing. Now, also, the other thing that's different, I am in the UK. Guys, I'm in London right now. So, yeah, I know you can tell I don't got my normal setup. There's no UFC flag. I'm in this weird little room. Yeah, I'm in London right now. I'm in my dorm in London. I'm studying abroad in the UK, the guys, for a month, actually, exactly a month. I'll be home a month from today, but you know how it is. You know what I do. I release content. I love MMA. I love the sport of mixed martial arts and the UFC specifically, so I am not going to stop making videos. You know what I do. This is what I do, and we're here. As always, the videos might just be dropped at obscure times, but that's okay because we know they're still going to be bangers. Come on now. All right, guys, let's go over the most recent UFC card, UFC 288. Before we get into the main event, I want to give a shout out to the main prelim victor, Matt Steamroller Frevola. My goodness, was that a flawless performance. I mean, guys, we know who Drew Dober is. He is not one to be played with. He is an animal. Drew Dober ended the winning streak of Terrence McKinney, who, by the way, knocked out Matt Frevola. Terrence McKinney finished Matt Frevola. Matt Frevola, after getting finished, went on a 2-fight first-round knockout win streak and then proceeds to knock Drew Dober out in the first round. That is how you pick yourself up. That is how you rebound. That is the example of a true man with character right there. You cannot let your losses define you. Matt Frevola did not, and he gathered all the strength he had. He mustered everything he could in training. He prepared. He exhausted every option, left no stones unturned in training camp, and showed his true potential and skill at the Prudential Center by knocking out Drew Dober in the first round. But yeah, that was a flawless performance, guys. When I say flawless, I mean, I was amazed. Drew Dober is an incredible fighter. I said before, he finished Terrence McKinney, ended his winning streak. He knocked out Bobby Green. He knocked him out bad. He put up a good fight against Islam Makhachev, the current lightweight champion. Drew Dober is a good fighter, guys. And guess what? Matt Frevola ran through him. We have never seen anyone do that to Drew Dober in his career. He has been knocked out once in his career, but it was not that fast. Matt Frevola did not need that much time to get Drew Dober out of there, and I was extremely impressed. So congratulations to Matt Steamroller Frevola. Big body. He is now the 14th ranked lightweight in the UFC. And he's calling out Paddy Pimblett. I like that matchup, but honestly, I think Matt Frevola is a better mixed martial artist than Paddy Pimblett. I think that fight sells, but I think Matt can also try to exercise the option of calling out someone higher than him in the lightweight rankings. Maybe someone at the 10 slot. Maybe a guy like the loser of Beneil Dariush versus Charles Oliveira. Now, that might be too much of a step up for him. He probably needs a fight before jumping up to that level. But Matt Frevola broke into the top 15, and he is an interesting new guy, new character to mix up this ever-consistent lightweight division. Lightweight they've had the same perennial contenders for a little bit now, and Matt Frevola breaks into the rankings, maybe adds a little excitement to the division, who knows? But Matt Steamroller Frevola, congratulations, hats off to you on a flawless performance. And when I say flawless, I mean flawless. Absolutely flawless. Perfect. No, I really don't know if he made a mistake. Every move was seamless. Every strike, every punch flowed into another strike. There was no lack of awareness at any point. He was always defensively sound. He was always conscious of what he was doing. Incredible performance. Congratulations, Matt Steamroller Frevola. Now, we are going to move on to the main card. The first fight on the main card, guys, I don't even want to spend too much time talking about this fight because it was embarrassing. Gracie versus Charles Jourdain. And Charles Jourdain, obviously, this is not going out to you. You stuck to the game plan, did what you needed to do, outstruck Gracie, a guy you are obviously better than on the feet, and got the victory by decision. That was a good fight, a good way to execute a good game plan from a good fighter. Charles Jourdain, good job. I won't say great job because, I think he could have put himself in a little more risk to try to go after the finish, but it was definitely a well-executed performance. Congratulations to Charles Jourdain, but that is not what I want to talk about. I want to talk about the embarrassment that Gracie is for the UFC. I mean, are you kidding me? After all these years, you bring back a Gracie into the UFC. The founding fathers of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in mixed martial arts, the guys who popularized this form of martial arts in this country. Gracie representing his clan, his family name, and what does he do? He sits on his butt and scoots across the octagon for 3 rounds. I mean, are you kidding me? Gracie, that was just a failure of a performance. He obviously knows that he cannot strike with Charles Jourdain. He is a basic, low-level striker who has great grappling, but has no way to get the fight to the ground, and it doesn't pose a threat to his opponent on the feet. Gracie is not a mixed martial artist. He's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioner. There is no way you can tell me that he is a good kickboxer, a good boxer, a good Muay Thai fighter. There is no way he is not a good striker. That was an embarrassing performance. Gracie, we've seen what he can do. He submitted Alex Caracas in a minute and a half. It was easy. He's a great grappler, but if he can't grapple, the fight is over for him, and you cannot be so one-dimensional in the Ultimate Fighting Championship where you have guys that are truly mixed martial artists. They embody what it means to be a mixed martial artist. They have all these wide varieties of skills, and this guy, Gracie, all he can do is sit and grapple. And obviously, Charles Jourdain is not just going to jump onto the ground when you're scooting on your butt towards him. That is not smart. He's the better striker. Poor game plan from Gracie, poor preparation, and poor execution. Gracie should not get another fight in the UFC after that performance. Now, once again, congratulations to Charles Jourdain. This was not a knock on you. You followed the game plan, stuck to it, got the win, but Gracie, I'm at a loss of words. It was a horrible, horrible performance. But that being said, we are going to move on to the next fight, which in my opinion was the best fight of the night. I was on the edge of my seat for the entirety of this bout, for the entirety of this mixed martial arts contest. I was nervous. I was like, whoa, what is going to happen? It was so beyond unpredictable. Things kept happening that I did not see coming at all. The fight really kept me nervous and anxious. I was not in a place to make a prediction on how that fight was going to go. It just kept changing. Things were changing on a dime, and that fight was Movsar Evloev versus Diego Lopes. Guys, I know I said Movsar was going to kill him in my fight preview. I know I did. And I really thought he was going to, but Diego Lopes showed that he belongs. My goodness, Diego Lopes is an absolutely ridiculously, he is a very good jiu-jitsu practitioner. Honestly, he's better than Gracie. I mean, Gracie, all he did was scoot across the octagon. Diego Lopes was actively not only looking for submissions against Movsar, but he was getting them. He was so close to finishing him with a heel hook or a knee bar. He was so close to finishing him with that arm bar. You can argue that Diego Lopes was closer to finishing that fight at any point than Movsar was. I mean, now that being said, Movsar performed in that second and third round and began to batter him brutally. But Diego Lopes was never out of the fight. He was always an active threat for a submission. Guys, this is what it means to be a good fighter. You fight someone who obviously outmatches you, outclasses you, and outexperiences you, but you are still a threat for the finish the entire time. You still pose danger to your opponent in the octagon. Diego Lopes was not a lamb in the slaughter like I said he would be. He was a gladiator. He was an honorable opponent for an incredible fighter And it turned out to be the best fight of the night. I was amazed by Diego Lopes' performance, and as Dana White said himself, you did not lose anything tonight, Diego Lopes. If anything, your stock shot up through the roof. People know what you can do now. People know you are an incredible Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioner. People know you can take a shot on the feet because, my God, Movsar was tagging him. He was tagging him up in the second and the third. It did not matter. Diego was relentless. He kept coming. He kept trying for that submission. And the fight ended with Diego having a knee bar on Movsar. Movsar's knee was fully extended as that bell rang. Now, Movsar was shaking his head, saying he was fine, which I truly believe he was, but he wasn't giving any active effort to escape. He was ready for that fight to be over. He was challenged by Diego Lopes, and I think the whole world saw that. Now, does this change my opinion on Movsar? No, I think he's a very polished fighter. He's a possible future champion. He just had a little ring rust. It's been a while since he fought. He fought Dan Ige about 2 years ago. I mean, guys, the guy just needs to fight more. He needs to be more active so he can be more actively improving his game. You can't be getting better at fighting if you're not fighting. That's just not how it works. You can drill something in the gym over and over and over, but if you don't practice it against a real opponent, you will never get better at it. It's just like any other sport. In football, you can run routes over and over and over as a receiver. But if you can't do it with a cornerback guarding you, you're not going to be good. It's just how you can't just practice. You have to practice and then perform your practice in live game situations. You have to be able to adapt on the fly. Practice is practice. There's a plan for practice. Practice. You're doing things that you know you're going to do. There's a schedule. Practice is not the same as a real fight, and we saw that. Movsar was very shocked. He thought he was going to run through Diego a little more than that, and I think Diego surprised him with his skill and ability and his grit. Diego Lopes, maybe it hasn't been in the UFC, but he has been fighting. He's been active. And that kind of showed. He outmaneuvered Movsar in a lot of scrambles on the ground. Movsar's a talented, high-level wrestler. That did not matter against Diego Lopes. But Movsar won that fight by a considerable amount still, I'd say, and is on the path. He just needs to stay in the ring. He cannot take another 1.5 to 2 year break before his next fight. He needs to get back in there in 3 to 6 months. Maybe let his injuries heal because his knee could be sore. His arm could hurt from those submission attempts, but he needs to get back in there within the next 6 months. I'd say that is a key for him, not letting the ring rust build up. But congratulations to Movsar and Diego for an incredible fight. Fight of the night, hands down, in my opinion. Hands down. There was no doubt about it. But Movsar was the winner, fair and square. He battered Diego. He battered him in a competitive fight somehow. I don't know if I've ever said that. Someone gets battered but still poses a threat to finish his opponent the whole fight. I mean, that's really unheard of, but apparently it's not because Diego Lopes is an absolute dog in that cage. So congrats to both of them. Amazing fight. Best fight of the night, hands down. Incredible featherweight bout. Incredible performance from both men. Now, we are going to move on to the women's strawweight matchup that took place between Xiaonan and Jessica Andrade. Guys, Xiaonan is powerful. She put Jessica out with a little check hook just like that. She did not really load up on that check hook. It wasn't an incredibly powerful strike. It was a very precise strike. Jessica was moving forward wildly, defenseless, and Jan took her time. She poised herself, she maintained her range, and she countered with a beautiful left hook right on Jessica's chin. Guys, I've said this so many times. Knocking someone out is not about how big you are. It's not about how strong you are. It's about where you hit them. And Xiaonan hit Jessica Andrade in the perfect spot on the jaw to turn the lights off for Jessica. That was an absolutely incredible performance from Xiaonan, and honestly, it might just have earned her a title shot. Dana White and the UFC are talking about making Xiaonan versus Zhang Weili in China. That would be incredible. 2 female Chinese fighters fighting for a belt in China. Do you know how massive that would be for the sport, especially in China and overseas? I mean, that would be a huge card if that fight took place in China. That would sell out instantaneously. Xiaonan and Weili are the 2 best Chinese fighters active on the UFC roster. They are clear cut and dry, better than everyone else. And they need to fight. Guys, this storyline is incredible. Chinese challenger versus Chinese champion. Both put their cultures aside, the champion puts her belt on the line, and Yan gets her shot at the title. This would be an incredible fight. Now, who do I have? I don't really know. I do have faith in the champion. Wei Li is a very, very powerful striker. It comes down here to who is the better striker of the two, and I do give the edge to Wei Li a little bit, but after that last performance, I am not really sure how that fight goes. It could go either way. I'm going to take Wei Li by decision, but never count out Yan Xiaonan. I learned that after UFC 288. Now, to Jessica Andrade, it was a poor performance. She's been finished in the first round twice now in a row. Erin Blanchfield submitted her. Now she gets knocked out by Yan Xiaonan. This is not a good look for the former strawweight champion. I mean, she went from slamming Rose Namajunas on her head, putting her to sleep, out cold, unconscious, to getting knocked out in the first round by Yan Xiaonan. I mean, guys, how fast you can fall from grace to the bottom in this game. The sport of mixed martial arts is unforgiving. Once you make one mistake, people start to capitalize. There's film. Your chin starts to wear. You get older. This is an unforgiving sport, and it's very easy to lose. It's very easy to make one little mistake and cost yourself the entire fight, and that is what Jessica Andrade did. She made one small mistake, but you can't make small mistakes against incredible fighters because they will capitalize on those mistakes, and that's what happened. Now, that being said, Jessica did not seem that hurt after the fight, guys. I actually got to speak with Jessica a little after the fight as she was walking out, as Yan was being interviewed. Jessica had a cool head on her shoulders. She was obviously very distressed and upset about losing that fight, but she gave me a hug. She said she was okay. She gave me the thumbs up. She took a picture with me. She did everything to show that she was there up here and that she was okay in here. So I was really happy about that. I was really glad I got the chance to talk to her and console her after that loss, because she's still a warrior, man. Jessica Andrade is a warrior. She's just in a tough spell of losses right now, and some fighters just go through that. It happens to the best fighters in the game. I mean, look at Cody Garbrandt's fall from grace. He went from dominating Dominic Cruz, who is possibly the best bantamweight of all time, to getting knocked out twice in a row by TJ Dillashaw. This sport, as I said before, is unforgiving, and if you make a mistake, you will pay with a piece of your life. I say a piece of your life because when you get knocked out, that brain damage is real. It truly does if you get knocked out cold, maybe not in this setting, she wasn't out cold, but a knockout could take off years of your life. I mean, guys, mixed martial arts is a dangerous sport, and Yan Xiaonan showed why she is a dangerous woman. But again, Jessica Andrade was in good spirits after the loss, so I really believe in her that she will be back with a win in her next opponent. I think she just needs a tune-up. I think she should fight someone towards the lower half of the top 15, maybe the 13th ranked, 15th ranked. I don't think she needs another top level fight right now. She just got wiped by two top contenders. Let her build her confidence back, and then she can jump back into the elite of the division. But Yan Xiaonan, an incredible performance of the night, hands down, first round knockout, beautiful, precise, absolutely incredible check hook to shut the lights out for Jessica Andrade. Yan Xiaonan is knocking on the door in the women's strawweight division, and Wang Jie Li is going to have to answer. She is going to have to answer, and we will see how she does. We will see who wins that fight, because I promise you, fight fans, Wang Jie Li versus Yan Xiaonan in China for the strawweight championship of the world is next. Now, guys, we're going to move on to the co-main event. Gilbert Burns versus Belal. Remember the name Muhammad. Guys, this fight was really disappointing for me. I mean, the fight wasn't disappointing. Belal performed. He did what he had to do. He was piecing up Gilbert. There was no doubt about it. He won that fight. He was the better man that night. But it's so sad for me to see Gilbert tear his shoulder in the first round of a fight and have no jab, no left hook, no left nothing for 4 rounds. I mean, that was Heartbreaking for Gilbert. He blocked one kick. His shoulder just popped, came out of place in the first round, and no jabs for the rest of the fight. No jabs, no check hooks, no nothing. Guys, Gilbert Burns has a strong jab. Gilbert Burns knocked out Damian Maia with that left hand. That's a huge part of his game. And he was not able to use that part of his game against Belal Muhammad, who's another really elite fighter. When you're fighting one-armed against a guy like Belal Muhammad, you are not going to win that fight. Belal Muhammad is a really good fighter. He is very talented. He's an incredible wrestler, and obviously his striking has improved leaps and bounds from what it was. I mean, guys, he just pieced up Gilbert Burns. Whatever you want to say, one-armed Gilbert, it does not matter. Gilbert Burns is one of the best fighters in the world, and he is a great striker. He hurt Kamaru Usman, and Belal Muhammad pieced him up. Belal Muhammad had an incredible performance at UFC 288. Belal Muhammad just, at this point, he has to be next for the title. I mean, he may not necessarily be a fan favorite. His style may not play into what the UFC wants as a champion, but I think Dana and Shelby and Mick all know at this point that they cannot deny him that shot. The win streak he's put together is undeniable. I mean, Gilbert Burns, Vicente Luque, Sean Brady, Stephen Thompson, he is beating every top name in the division. He is clearing out the top 10, and he is knocking on the door for that title fight, just as Xiaonan is next. Belal Muhammad has got to be next for that welterweight belt, and honestly, I'm real excited for when he fights for that title. Say what you want, but Belal Muhammad still has that bitterness and anger from when Leon Edwards poked him in the eye, resulting in a no contest. Leon Edwards was piecing him up that fight. Leon Edwards wobbled Belal with a head kick, and then he poked him. Took Belal's chance to make a comeback away from him. Took his money away from him. Leon is he gets a little pokey sometimes, and that happened against Belal, and Belal was not happy, so he wants that revenge against Leon Rocky Edwards. He does not want to leave any stone unturned. He does not want to leave any stains on his legacy, any loss, or any sort of questionable fight he had. He wants to erase it. He wants to be the undisputed best welterweight in the world. And I think he has the skill to do so. I mean, can he beat the top guys like Leon, Hamzat, Kamaru, Colby? Those are questions that are going to be answered. But Belal Muhammad is undeniably next for that welterweight strap. I don't know what else you can do. There's no one else who has a better resume and has more of a case to fight for the title right now than Belal. Remember the name Muhammad. So congrats to Belal. Incredible performance. And I am really, I will reiterate this again. I am so impressed with the improvements he's made in the striking department of his game. Now, what's next for Gilbert? That's hard, man. I think he really needs to rest. Gilbert, the warrior in him, always wants to fight, but I think the warrior in him just cost him a title shot. I mean, he fought at UFC 287 and then fought at UFC 288, the next pay-per-view. That's unheard of. Even if you don't take maximum amounts of damage or an abundant amount of damage in your previous fight, fighting immediately after another fight, that's hard. You have to cut weight again. I mean, a little bit. He obviously was low because he just fought, but you have to cut a little more weight. You have to rebound into training camp just after you finished one. You have to tend to your injuries from the last fight, whether they're minor cuts that could reopen in your next fight or major injuries. You have to tend to those injuries before your next fight. And not only this, he fought at UFC 284 against Neil Magny. I'm not sure if it was 83 or 84. I believe it was 84. But guys, that's three fights in the span of, 5 pay-per-views? I mean, that's just not safe. That's not healthy. Gilbert Burns pushed himself too hard. But, as always, as a fight fan, I can never disrespect Gilbert Burns. He is ready to fight anyone at any time. He is an awesome mixed martial artist, an awesome competitor, and he has the heart of a lion. So congratulations to Gilbert Burns for showing the world once again that you are a true warrior and you embody what it means to be a gladiator. You embody what it means to be a man of your word, someone who says they will fight anyone at any time and does that. He does just that. And he has proven that to us throughout the course of his career. So hats off to Gilbert Burns for being a warrior. And congratulations to Belal, remember the name Muhammad, for establishing himself as the number 1 contender in the welterweight division. That's right, I said it. Belal Muhammad is now the number one contender in the welterweight division. Now, what do I think is next for this division? Well, we're going to have Leon versus Colby. Kamaru's going to fight Khamzat, apparently, because that could fast-track him back to the title. But I really think you book Belal versus the winner of Leon and Colby. I mean, I don't see the problem in doing that. He's earned the title shot. Now, for Gilbert, what is next? I mean, that's hard. I said he needs to rest, but his fight, honestly, I would not be mad at a Gilbert Burns versus Shavkat Rakhmonov fight. That would be a barn burner. Give Gilbert a healthy left shoulder again. If he's at the level he was against Khamzat, that could be a good fight. So yeah, I'd actually love to see Shavkat versus Gilbert, even though Gilbert's coming off a loss. So it makes sense, but I know it's not as appealing for Shavkat, but I would love to see that absolute barn burner of a fight. Now, that being said, Belal Muhammad and Gilbert Burns put on a 5-round war, but there was no fight I was more excited for than this main event between Aljamain, Funkmaster Sterling, and Henry Triple C, the triple champ, Cejudo. I mean, guys, this fight delivered. I don't know what else to say. It really was a great fight. 5 rounds of back and forth action. Neither man was that much better than the other. They were around similar levels, but I do believe Aljamain Sterling just did enough to ascend himself past Henry Cejudo in the slightest bit and earn that decision victory. Guys, if you ask me, it was not a robbery. Aljamain Sterling, if you look at the fight numbers, Aljamain Sterling outstruck him 186 to 143 total strikes. He outstruck him in the significant strike category, 135 to 99. He had 4 takedowns to Henry Cejudo's 3. He outgrappled Cejudo, outstruck Cejudo, outfought Cejudo, and outthought Cejudo. His mind was racing for the entirety of that fight. Aljamain Sterling fought very smart. He's displayed his high-level fight IQ as he was moving back from Cejudo the whole time, moving away from him, forcing Cejudo to chase him, allowing Aljo to land counters, and keeping him out of range of Henry's takedowns. Aljo fought a really smart fight. A really, really smart fight. And Henry Cejudo did great, guys. I'm not saying Henry Cejudo underperformed. He came back and looked like his former self. He was not a shell of his former self. He looked really good. He looked in shape. He looked like he was strong. He had good wrestling. He had power in he had some pop in his punches. I mean, guys, Henry Cejudo looked like Henry Cejudo, but Aljamain Sterling looked like an evolved version of Aljamain Sterling, as he seemingly always does in his fights. He evolves every single fight, and that is what I love about the Funkmaster, Aljamain Sterling. So yeah, if you ask me, Aljo won that fight fair and square. I mean, yes, a judge giving round 5 to Aljo, questionable, but does not matter. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's an argument for Aljo to win each and every one of those rounds, and he definitely won 3 of them at least. So congratulations, and still, to the Bantamweight champion of the world, Aljamain Sterling. Guys, I don't really know why everyone's saying this is a robbery. I really don't. I think the numbers tell the story. Aljo is better than Henry Cejudo right now. I think it's hard for people to accept that this guy who went from getting kneed in the head and winning the title by DQ has now defended that title 3 times, the same amount that Khabib Nurmagomedov defended his title, and is now considered possibly the greatest bantamweight of all time. Yeah, I just don't think people want to accept Aljo's ascendance to the top because it was started by something that was not favorable in the UFC fight fans' eyes. But you got to remember that knee was not his fault. Aljo didn't want to win that way, and he came back. He beat Peter Yan. He beat him fair and square in that second fight. Say what you want, but he took Peter's back a lot. He had a lot of control time, was an active threat of the submission for the entirety of the fight. He won that fight. Then he beat TJ Dillashaw, and now he beat Henry Cejudo. Guys, that resume is outrageous. Aljamain Sterling, in my humble opinion, is now the greatest bantamweight of all time. He really has done enough, in my humble opinion again, to trump Henry Cejudo's legacy, to trump Dominic Cruz's legacy, to trump TJ Dillashaw's legacy. I mean, TJ Dillashaw and Henry Cejudo, 2 of the possible GOATs of the division. He wiped them, but TJ wasn't even close. He destroyed TJ. I know TJ had shoulder issues. It does not matter. Aljo took him down and ragdolled him. And then He beats Henry Cejudo right after. I mean, how impressive is it going from beating TJ Dillashaw straight to beating Henry Cejudo from one GOAT to another? Aljamain Sterling established himself as the real GOAT of that bantamweight division. I know Dominic Cruz was a good fighter. Dominic Cruz was a great fighter and a great champion. But as a champion, I say as a champion because we've seen Aljo lose. But as a champion, we have not seen Aljo lose. We have not seen him lose. And as a champion in regards to Dominic Cruz, we saw him get dominated. Cody Garbrandt dismantled Dominic Cruz in their 5-round title fight. So yeah, I really think Aljo is the bantamweight GOAT. And I think if he defends that title one more time, there's not much more of an argument. He has the most bantamweight wins at 14. He has the most consecutive wins in the division at 9. And now he has 3 title defenses, 4 title wins. I mean, the resume speaks strongly for itself. Aljamain Sterling is a very, very, very talented fighter. Now, what is next for this division, guys? You could really do anything. Bantamweight's the best division in the UFC right now. I mean, there is hands down. Name a better division right now. You can. Aljamain Sterling, Sean O'Malley, Corey Sandhagen, Peter Yan, Henry Cejudo, Marlon Vera. I mean, the names I just listed off the top of my head, that is unreal. This fight has 7 to 8 championship caliber, this division, the bantamweight division, has 7 to 8 championship belt holding caliber fighters. When do you ever see that in a division? Literally, you really don't see it ever. It's just not a thing. But we're getting blessed with this bantamweight division providing us with that unusual rarity. This bantamweight division is providing us with a surplus of talent right now, and I think the UFC is struggling to figure out what to do with it. But don't worry, that's where I come in. I will tell you what is next. I think Dana knows this one. The man who entered the cage after the fight, who I got to high five on the way to that cage, Sugar Sean O'Malley, is next for that bantamweight strap. Guys, I am so excited to see Sugar fight for the title. Sugar Sean O'Malley is hands down the biggest draw in the UFC right now, outside of maybe Israel Adesanya, because especially coming off of that Pereira knockout, Izzy's incredible. He's awesome, but Sugar Sean sells. And not only does he sell, he delivers. He is an entertaining striker who is very precise, very good at using his range to maintain kickboxing distance, uses his long jab, his long cross to string together combinations, and has beautiful kicking technique. His spinning kicks are otherworldly. Sugar Sean O'Malley is on another level on the feet. I believe he's the best striker in that division by a lot. I don't think anyone can strike like Sugar. I have been high on Sugar Sean for a long time, and I truly believe that if Sugar Sean fights Aljamain Sterling is going to run into a knee and find himself on that canvas looking up at Am New. Sugar Sean O'Malley is the next bantamweight champion of the world. Mark my words. I said it here. You heard it here. The Chokehold Hour. Sugar Sean is next. And I am so excited to see his ascension as a UFC champion and to see his rise to fame and superstardom from just stardom. I believe if he wins this belt, he really could maybe reach that Conor McGregor status. Sugar Sean is huge. People love Sugar Sean. And they would love it even more if he won the title. So yeah, I would ecstatic for that fight. I am stoked. Now, what is next for Henry Cejudo? Well, interestingly enough, he called out Merab. I love that fight. Henry versus Merab, wrestler versus wrestler. Henry just put up a good fight against Aljo. They're on a similar skill level, so this will actually give us a gauge on how Merab versus Aljo will go, because we're never going to see the fight because they're too close of friends, which I respect. But we will get a decent idea of how that fight would actually go. And I, for one, would be more than okay with that. I think Henry versus Merab is a good fight. I think their styles, because they're both two high-level wrestlers, makes for a striking battle. Call me crazy, because I know Merab does not like to strike, but Henry Cejudo is very hard to take down. We saw that against Aljamain Sterling. I mean, Aljo thought he had him on the ground, but no, Henry Cejudo does a full split, fully extends and flattens his legs to avoid getting taken down. I mean, the training that takes, the flexibility and athleticism that takes, Henry Cejudo is a really good wrestler, and he's also a really good mixed martial artist. So yeah, I would love to see Merab versus Henry, and then if Sugar beats Aljo, Merab beats Henry, then you send Merab for a title fight. You got Sugar versus Merab. Aljo moves up. Henry probably retires if he loses a second fight. Henry's chasing greatness. He said it himself. If he loses another fight after this, I think that's really it for Henry. But I would not mind Sugar versus Aljo, Henry versus Merab, and then you send the winners of those two fights to face each other, which I think would be Merab and Sugar. Now that fight, Merab versus Sugar, I hate to admit it as a Sugar fan, but I don't think that one's so good for Sugar. I think Merab is the perfect counteractive style to Sugar and the way he fights. I think Aljo's wrestling is very unique and different, but I don't think that it plays as well against a guy like Sugar Sean. Sugar Sean's biggest weakness is guys who come forward with that constant cardio, that pressure. Sugar Sean, Peter Yan took him down. Peter Yan came forward and took Sugar Sean down. Merab Dvalishvili has the best cardio in the UFC right now, in my personal opinion. He will not stop coming forward. He will not stop shooting. I mean, we saw he broke the record for takedown shots in one fight. Merab is a wrestler with high pace and extremely, extremely good cardio. He more than extremely good. Merab Dvalishvili, I'm not sure if I've seen someone with cardio like this since Khabib Nurmagomedov. Honestly, he makes his opponents work. He makes them tired while somehow preserving a lot of his own energy. So Merab is a very efficient wrestler, and for that reason, I think he beats Sugar Sean in that fight. Now, am I counting Sugar out? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Sugar Sean O'Malley is an incredible striker. As I said, I am so high on him. I just don't know if he's going to be able to land that pivotal blow against Merab. I think he'll be able to do it against Aljo, but I don't know if he'll be able to do it against Merab. I guess only time will tell. We may never even see the fight, but I sure hope we do, because that one would be absolutely awesome. Now, I just want to say thank you guys so much once again for listening. I really do appreciate every single one of you. And once again, I want to give a shout out to my boy, Zach Steklow, for coming with me to UFC 288. I shouldn't say coming with me. I should say bringing me to UFC 288 and showing me the greatest night of my life. So, Zach, you're the man. Happy birthday. I miss you, bro. And to everyone out there watching at home, I hope you guys enjoyed UFC 288 as much as I did. And I hope you're as excited for this upcoming fight night in Jailton Almeida versus Jairzinho Rozenstruik as I am. I think that's going to be an absolute heavyweight barn burner, and I am excited to tune in. But as always, guys, remember to check out the TikTok at the Chokehold Hour. Remember to check out the Instagram at the Chokehold Hour. And remember to check out my Twitter at BillGaray Nate. And last but not least, don't forget to like and subscribe.